I'm gonna have sex, Jack. This is Felicity Was Here. Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe et al. Welcome to my show.
And today we're discussing Felicity Season 2, Episode 7, Getting Lucky. Lucky number 7.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lucky. Lucky number 7. Get it?
Crystal's numerology. I'm feeling something. Huh?
How was everyone's Halloween?
It was fun.
Good.
It was fun. But now I'm in Christmas mode, so.
Yeah, pretty much. I can't wait to decorate. I'm probably going to need to do it earlier this year than usual, given everything. But
I'm feeling the Christmas vibes, and I'm the biggest Grinch I know, and I want to see the decorations and movies and lights, all the things. Like, I'll just feel nice and snuggly.
Well, Christmas is definitely my favorite. I am not a Grinch, but I usually try and at least wait until like the Friday after Thanksgiving to decorate, but I might need to do it a little earlier this year.
Do it tomorrow. Do it after we're done.
It's a good idea. Do it right now. I have, though, this past weekend binged all of Season 2 of The Diplomat with Carrie Russell.
Oh, dang. I didn't even know it was out yet.
It came out on Halloween. That's what I did to celebrate. It was very good. I gotta say, I'm really sick of waiting like 3 years for 8 episodes to come out. Like, bring back TV with 20 episodes and like every fall without fail. Like every year we have a new season. Because there's only like 8 or so episodes, and again, huge cliffhanger. And now I have to wait who knows how many more years. So great show, but I'm sick of the whole super short season model that Hollywood is giving us lately.
That's why you have to just live under a rock for a couple years and then watch all the shows everyone else was watching. Like I just finished Yellow Jackets Season 2, which apparently came out a while ago. Everyone's like waiting for Season 3, and I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, that's coming up. I'm already right there.
I finished Teacup on I said Thanksgiving. I finished Teacup on Halloween. It was really good. I want everybody to watch it. I'm so upset. I want everybody to watch it and talk about it all day, every day.
I will not be, but
it's not scary. It's good. It's not scary.
It looks scary.
It isn't. It looks a lot scarier than it actually is. It's misleading. It's not scary.
Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. So you should watch it and then tell me, oh no, you were wrong. It's scary. Right. Go ahead. I dare you. There's tension, so that's scary. That's Heather's worst version of scary.
I can do suspense and thrillers, but like jump scares and like
it's not jump
slasher, aliens, ghosts, all of it.
Nah.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, let's just market this as a family drama.
Oh. Is it Peacock or Apple?
Peacock.
Yeah. I'd rather not subscribe to another thing, but we'll see. Maybe.
It's only 8 episodes. You're in and or out. It's a real easy watch.
Okay. Well, to start off this week, we have some listener mail that we wanted to read. So this comes by email, and our listener says, "Hello, ladies. My name is Jamie, and I'm a big fan of Felicity and your podcast." Thank you, Jamie. I am writing in because I wanted to comment on something one of you said on last week's podcast covering the episode Crash. It was in regards to Felicity not wanting to discuss David with Noel due to Noel being such an A-list guy. And one of you found that interesting because in the episode before, Noel had been a total jerk to Felicity about her haircut. Hearing that was like music to my ears because I have thought the same thing for years. One of my biggest annoyances with the show is how Felicity seems to always give Noel a pass for his bad behavior and never truly holds him accountable. I think the show gets stuck in this triangle trope of the bad boy, Ben, versus the nice boy, Noel, when it is way more complex. Both characters are extremely flawed, and we will see them both make some huge mistakes throughout the series. However, because of this trope, I feel like Noel sometimes gets too much credit and Ben not enough credit. One more thing before I go is on the character of David. I think this character is a total dud and does not work. I think the show missed an opportunity to bring the character of Eli back. Now that Felicity is an art major, it would make total sense for her to run into Eli, and it would be much more organic than having her professor set her up with her son. Plus, Felicity dating Eli would absolutely drive Noel crazy.
Amen. Wow. I love that.
Very thoughtful note
Yeah.
and a lot to unpack.
And I agreed with so much of it because I think she
Mhm.
was talking about me, Dr. Joe-It-All.
Probably.
Yeah. It was me.
I knew you were gonna say that.
No, well,
Oh.
it was funny though because Heather and I were having a very similar conversation about the good and bad and, like, the all or nothing kind of assigned to these characters of Ben and Noel, so I thought that was really cool timing that that email came in right after just a couple days after Heather and I had that conversation, so that was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, obviously, as a Team Noel person, I think, at least on this podcast, he gets enough shit.
Yes.
Sometimes I think we give Ben too much credit, but that's, of course, my point of view. And I don't know if I mean, I guess it depends on what your definition of accountability is. Like, I think Noel does apologize, and she was mad at him at the beginning of this season. She does end up forgiving him because they're still very good friends and there's clearly still feelings there. But I think she does that with Ben too, if not more. I mean, yeah, not going to do spoilers for the rest of the show, but I think she does give Ben plenty of credit. But it's just interesting, the bad boy versus the nice boy, because I've never really thought of those being their buckets. To me, it was more like the nerd versus the jock, or like the nerd versus Mr. Popular. So I
Mhm.
never really thought of one of them as bad and one as nice, but more just like Ben's kind of the fantasy and Noel's more like her. So I thought that was an interesting
Mhm.
take.
Yeah. I like how she brought up that they're both extremely flawed, though. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
they
yeah,
totally are.
that's a real that's facts.
I'll also love the idea of Eli being the guy that she would date this
Yes,
season.
that's
That
such a
does
great
make
idea.
sense because she is an art major now. That does totally make sense.
Yes, bring it back for the reboot,
Yes.
bring him back.
Oh.
We are team Eli on this pod. So
Mhm.
That's something we can
we all
all
agree. Yeah. And I think that was one of our polls
Yes.
last season was who deserved the season 2, and then Eli won. So I think many of us would agree.
Mhm.
What I thought was kind of surprising to me on Insta and TikTok, I did post a reel or something about David, and I was actually pretty surprised at how much hate there was for David. Maybe not hate, but people
Yeah.
were just like, "Oh, David was blah or
Blah.
gross." Like, it's
Mm.
fine. Like, yeah, he's not like the hottest thing in the world, and we don't really learn like, the most about him. But like, I was just a little surprised that there were that many
I
people
was
that
Yeah.
didn't like David.
Like, I have more animosity towards Greg coming up
Yeah.
Oh, for
than
sure, me too.
David. Like, David, okay, he's alright.
Yeah. They had a bad first date,
Yeah.
but I thought it got better after that. And he's very sweet and he obviously cares about her. So, I mean,
Mhm.
also he's insecure, but I guess a lot of these characters are.
Mhm.
So,
I don't think he made a lot of fumbles with the insecurity other than just being kinda guarded at the
Yeah.
beginning.
right.
I
Which
don't
she
think
had a
he,
lot
like
of reason to be.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that as well.
But I could see where it's not like endgame.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, we love discussing, obviously, on this pod, all of our opinions. We love hearing from you all. So please comment on Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are on social. Join us in the Discord. And of course, feel free to send us more emails. We love hearing from you and we'd love to share your thoughts as well. So diving in now. Last week was the love bug. And after finally revealing that Felicity and Noel used to date, Felicity and David kissed, finally. And Ruby auditioned for a role in a movie and got the part. Meanwhile, Ben found out that Maggie is married. So, this week in Getting Lucky, the episode was written by Jennifer Levin and directed by Dan Apple. So, we start out with Felicity telling Sally that she's met someone. He's mysterious, doesn't really know where he's from, and she's decided to call him Lucky. And we see the just cutest little image of a scruffy little doggy, and I just love this dog. Like, he's so scruffy looking and, like,
Mhm.
neglected. I thought it was, like, the perfect little stray dog for the show.
Is this whole dog thing gonna be a huge metaphor that you guys are gonna talk about
Oh,
together?
no.
Obviously.
I'm waiting for it.
What? Do you have one?
I
No.
mean, yeah.
Let's just get it out of the way right now.
Well, I mean, she's definitely obviously using the dog as an excuse to not take things further
Mhm.
with David. But see, and I don't wanna give it away, but I feel like in a future episode, she has a dream and Lucky's in it again and says that, like, "Oh, and I'm a metaphor for, your sexual shortcomings or your like,
Oh.
I thought that was in a future episode too, so
Okay.
Like, I can't say it's an original thought. I feel
Oh,
like they mention
maybe
it in
that's
the
where I
show
got it
later.
from. Yeah, I didn't remember that part. I was just like, "Oh, for sure, Heather and Dr. Joe are gonna be like, this dog is a it's a metaphor for her insecurities and blah." I'm like, "All right, let's do it."
I mean, you said it just yep, right there. She's still got this thing weighing her down and
Yeah.
holding her back. Yeah.
I just wanna say, like, this episode to me seemed like the previous episode. Like, in the last one, David was avoiding, or we thought maybe he was avoiding,
Mhm.
like, kissing her or spending the night with her, and now it's kind of flipped, and it's her who's, like,
The
using
tables
the
have
dog as
turned.
a way to avoid being with him. So I was kinda like, "Ah, this seems a little repetitive to me," but I wasn't in love with this episode. But continue.
I hated it. This is my Todd Mulcahy, I guess.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I
I
definitely
don't
had
know.
some issues too that we can get into, but
Okay.
share more.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
It'll be a slow trickle, not a
Okay.
waterfall, but the dog to me represented her impulsivity and knuckleheadedness. Just like, I can't believe she grabbed a damn dog off the goddamn street and thought that that was an okay thing to do. I think that was so
Straight.
reckless.
Why?
Diseases? Like, I'm a team Elena here, like, diseases, fleas, you could get bit, like, you don't know this dog, like, what are you thinking? And I don't think it's cool. Just jumping ahead, like, she picks up the dog, but everybody else around her is the one actually adopting it and taking care
Well,
of it and
yeah.
fostering it. Like, all she did was scoop it up off the street. She's done oh my gosh, I think she's a turd. Like, just go ahead.
That's
I don't wanna
strong. Those are
yeah,
strong
I
words.
know. I know. I know.
Oh,
It's too
man.
much. I'm gonna get canceled, but that's fine. Dr. Joe will rise again.
Well, to Melissa's point, it did to me feel like the last episode, except kind of the flip side of it.
Mhm.
So, last episode to me felt like being emotionally guarded, and this one was more like
Mm.
just the physical. Like, she
Mhm.
has the emotions there. She cares about David, David cares about her, but like she can't get there on the physical part for whatever reason. And like last episode, he couldn't get there emotionally. Like, he didn't emotionally want to let himself go. So it's yeah, to me, it's
Okay.
like similar, but almost
It's a
it was like
compliment. It's like the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
yeah, it seemed very focused on the physical, and, like, even Elena and I don't say this often, but Elena really annoyed me in this episode, and just
Oh, I loved her. I was
really
like, "Preach, sister,
oh my
preach."
gosh, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's get into it.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
So Felicity tells Sally that after their kiss, things have been great with David. And on her way back from David's in the morning, she saw Lucky, this friendly and sweet pup with no collar. So, right there, like if he was aggressive and biting, yeah, she probably wouldn't have taken him. But he seemed very sweet, was just friendly. And so, yeah, she wanted to pick him up off the street. I mean, I feel like that's how a lot of dogs get into shelters because people say, hey, there's this stray and I will go rescue them. But I am not a dog
But they
owner. I
usually,
would
like,
love to
maybe
be,
would
but
take them somewhere.
oh, okay.
Like, be like, "Hey, friend, can you take care of this dog that I found that I wanna take care of, but you gotta take care of it for me?"
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Okay.
And I do have some fault with Elena too later. I didn't love everything that she did and said, so
Okay.
yeah,
We'll get there.
yeah. I just wanna make that clear,
Yeah,
like, before I forget too.
yeah. So Felicity, as Dr. Joe says, goes to Elena's with Lucky and wants to come in with Lucky, this dog, but Elena is apprehensive, says like, "Well, what diseases are you gonna bring in?" And she doesn't mean the dog. But Felicity says, "Shocker, it wasn't mono last week, it was the flu." And I'm pretty sure I said, like, "Did any of you get tested? Like,
Right.
how do you know it's
Mhm.
mono?" Well, it wasn't mono. So they were all fine. But she puts Lucky down, he's sniffing around, and Elena notes, like, "Oh, Felicity, you're coming back from David's, huh? Like, you slept there last night?" And she asks her if she scored. Felicity says, "No, we're just not in a hurry." But tonight, David wants Felicity to stay in, and they're just gonna rent a movie. So Elena's
Mhm.
Netflix and chill before it
Yes.
Yeah.
existed. So Elena says that's code for sex, which that
Yeah,
she's probably right.
true.
And then Noel comes in and sees Lucky and absolutely loves Lucky. Reminds him of his neighbor's dog, Woofy, that he loved, but unfortunately was allergic to. But now he's super excited because he's like, "Oh, well, I'm not reacting right now, so I must have grown out of my allergy. This is great." And so he goes to play with Lucky in his bedroom. I love Noel. Anyway, so then Felicity tells Elena that she's going to put up signs and try to find Lucky a home, but he can't stay at the dorm, so could Lucky stay with her? So Elena asks why Felicity's good deed turns into her good deed.
Exactly. Plus, I don't know why she keeps saying, "It's just for a couple days, it's just gonna be for a couple days." How do you know it's only gonna be a couple days? Like, that's not reality. It takes forever to find homes for pets, you know? Like, people struggle, they, like, go all over the place, like, begging coworkers, "Please, are you sure you don't want them? They're really cute." Like, it's a hard thing to do, and it's a hard thing to put on somebody else for a quote, unquote, "a couple days." Bullshit. That's a big commitment.
Did she try taking it to an animal shelter? Did they say that? And I missed
I
it.
don't
No!
yeah, that
That's
would
the
have
thing
been
that I
my
have a
first
problem
thought,
with.
yeah, is
Yes!
like
Because
take him to a
also, like,
shelter.
maybe the
Fine.
person who lost him is looking for him there. You don't know.
Yeah, collars fall off all the time.
And is this before there were microchips?
Probably.
Because I
Maybe.
feel like that's a shelter thing too, like,
Mm.
that's one of the first things they would do is see if there's
Mhm,
a
mhm.
chip. But yeah, I mean, Elena's totally right there, and I feel like that tracks for Felicity because there are so many times where she, like, wants other people to feel and think the same things that she's feeling, and she, like, puts that on other people, so it kind of like, it tracks for her character that she
Yeah.
would, like, impose this on someone else now.
Yeah, and not even feel and think, like, that's the heavy lifting, like, they'd be doing the taking it for a walk and, like, picking up its shit and feeding it and making sure it's okay and all that stuff, like, I don't know. I think that's such a big burden to place on someone. I don't know, I think I wouldn't be this annoyed, and I've never been this annoyed in my life watching this, but I have a dog now, and I've never had one before, and it's been, like, a year and a half that I've had a dog, like, first time ever in my life, and I'm like, "Absolutely not. That's not a cool thing to do to somebody."
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of work.
Mhm.
It's not the same thing as, like, here's, like, a gerbil or something, or, like, here's a fish to watch, like, it's so much more work.
Yeah. So then Elena says that, well, it's up to Noel. But Noel comes out of his bedroom and his face is all red and itchy and eyes are all red and watery. And he's like, nope, you know what? I think I'm still allergic. And so here's where I'm going to throw in the symbolism. Because Felicity and Noel didn't sleep together, I'm wondering if that's why like he had why the writers had him have like a strong negative reaction to the dog. Like if this is his symbolism for like her sexuality or whatever, he like wanted to be with the dog and was like excited about it, but then could not because of
Yet
his
another
Oh,
thing that went
allergies.
wrong.
Yeah,
that's a
exactly.
little bit of
That's
a reach there,
interesting.
but
Really? I don't
come
find
on.
that reach. I'll give it to you. I think that's an interesting thing, and I'm sad I didn't think of it. It turns out Dr. Joe does not, in fact, know it all. Damn.
Uh-oh. She admitted it.
No.
So then at the vet, Felicity and Elena take Lucky to get checked out. And Elena, I don't know, she is really obsessed with Felicity's sex life. So she asks Felicity if she's excited because she's going to score tonight. But Felicity asks Elena why she's so obsessed with her sex life. And
Question.
Elena says that it's because she doesn't have one and because it's Felicity's first time. But I'm like, excuse me, Eli erasure. Like, I will not stand for that." And Felicity says the same, basically. She's like, hello, I've done it before. But Elena says this is the first time with a guy you actually know. But Felicity tells Sally that that was the plan, that her and David were going to rent a movie and she was going to score. But first, she had to find a place for Lucky. So I will say, I think again, this just shows that, like, Elena needs her own storyline because she is
Mhm.
way too involved
Mhm.
in Felicity's
Yes.
business this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair
It's
point.
annoying me.
Also,
And I
have you guys ever used the word score or scored when talking
No.
about sex? Like, I don't know, that just irked me. Why are they making her talk like that?
feel like she's less mushy-gushy, and she would say score.
I feel like she would just
Like,
say
she's
sex.
not
Like, she'd be like, "Are you guys gonna have sex?"
maybe,
Like,
maybe. Yeah, it's a little bit silly.
Earlier in the season, she was like, "Are you getting some? Are you getting any action?" Like, yeah,
yeah.
she has a lot of different terms for it
I
that
wonder,
I wouldn't use. "Are you getting some?"
yeah. I wonder if there's, like, some sort of, censorship, like, you can only say sex so many times per
Oh,
episode? I don't, you know what I mean?
It could
Just
be,
sayings
honestly,
or
yes,
stupid stuff like that.
probably.
especially for the WB. That could be.
Yeah, so they had to use all these euphemisms and stuff. I don't know, I wonder if that had something to do with it.
It could be.
But I think that conversation does put a lot more weight on the topic, just, that persistent asking kinda is just piling on. and that's not helpful.
Yeah. And that's where I get annoyed is that I do feel like it is putting more pressure on Felicity than like she might not have gotten in her head so much if Elena hadn't been doing all this. Like, are you going to score? You're going to score. Oh, tonight's the night you're going to score. Are you excited? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, whoa, like just let it happen if it's going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah. But if she was genuinely, like, cool with it, I don't think somebody asking that question would necessarily be like, "Oh my god, no, I'm scared now all of a sudden." It's kind of like, like asking somebody if they're considering suicide's not going to give them the idea if they don't already have it. It's like asking somebody a question, I don't think should make them spiral so much and get in their head so much.
Hmm.
Like for the sex question. It's that insecurity was already there.
Sure. I think maybe she could have been not ready, but like now feeling like she is supposed to be ready and therefore now she does need an excuse. Like, I don't know, I just didn't well, we'll get there.
Oh, yeah, that's what bothered me. I wish she would've just been like, "Yeah, I'm not ready." And Elena would've been like, "Oh, okay." I don't think she would've kept pushing it if Felicity was just really embracing her not readiness and just said, "Yeah, like, this freaks me out." And maybe they coulda talked through it because Elena's supposedly her best friend, so I don't know why it has to be all, like, elusive about it, you know?
Hmm. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. So Felicity has to find a different place for Lucky now. So now she tries to pass Lucky off to Javier. But first, Lucky has to meet Mommy, Javier's cat. So they are introducing Lucky and Mommy at Dean and DeLuca. Doesn't look like it's going great, but also not terribly. Like they're just kind of staring at each other. And David stops by with the movies, checking out the situation, seeing how things are going, and wishes Felicity good luck and hopefully Lucky can be friends with Mommy. But Javier says that Mommy's pissed now, and she's like, he says, I mean, I like Lucky, but clearly, Mommy does not. And she just kind of like turns around in her little cage and that's it. So Lucky cannot stay with Javier. So then Felicity goes to the loft and asks Sean if he would take Lucky. And he says yes. But then Lucky goes right for one of Julie's shirts sitting in a hamper and knocks over a bunch of Smooth A's stuff. So now Sean
Oh my
says that
gosh.
it's not going to work out.
That was such a disaster. It was like classic, like, sitcom silliness,
Mhm.
which I didn't like. I thought it was dumb. Oh my god, I don't know why I was so annoyed with this episode. And backing up, I'll complain about every scene, but I'm gonna complain about the scene before this a
Oh,
couple scenes ago. When she was with Elena even said, like, "You have insecurities about sex." Like, she laid it out there. She gave her an opening to be like, yes. She wasn't just, like, saying, like, "Oh, you gonna do it? You gonna do it?" Like, she's like, "Yeah, like, you've got some hangups about this." Like, they could've had a conversation. I think that would've been kinda cool if
yeah, but to me, it almost felt like Elena was shaming her for it. Like,
I could see how that could be a
like
thing.
I'd be put on the defense if someone's like, "You've got issues with sex." It's like, "What? Just because I've only had it once?" Like, I don't know. It felt kind of judgy to me, and I feel like now, like, I'm shamed for that and would have to, put up an excuse or just say, like, "Oh, it just hasn't happened yet, but now it will." Like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna be having sex tonight," but she's not ready, but now she does feel pressured, even if it's not from David, but, like, now that is in her head, like, "Oh, there's something wrong with me." I mean, she even says it later. She thinks she's not healthy, and it's like, well, she just doesn't want to. She doesn't want to.
Yeah, and I think maybe Elena was being kinda clinical about it, like, "This is what happened, and that's why you're feeling this way now, like, it didn't work out with Noel, you weren't ready with Ben, and now, she's not ready now, that's fine." I think if she would've just said, "Yeah, I'm not ready," I think it could have been a really nice conversation they could have had instead of all this avoiding and denial and rigmarole this whole episode was. It would've been kinda cool to see some characters have a conversation about, "Yeah, I'm not ready," and, like, really dig into it, like girlfriends talking about it, you know?
I guess what would Elena's response to that be, though?
I'm not sure, maybe she would just listen. What do you think, Melissa?
Damn, I don't know.
Damn, I don't know. I'd be like, "Damn, girl,
I
that sounds rough." Like,
don't
"Damn."
I don't know. I didn't think too much into it that like Elena was getting into her head. I just thought it was more of like Felicity genuinely thought she was just gonna go watch a movie and hang out. And now she's probably like thinking, oh, maybe David does want to like move to the next level now that Elena said that. Like I didn't think there was that much to it other than her being like, oh crap, maybe this is the sex date. And she wasn't like
Mhm.
ready for it yet. Like She didn't think it was happening yet, but now she's like, "Okay, maybe I'm into that now."
I just wish she would have been more open about it. Like, I don't have a problem that she wasn't ready. I have a problem that she was so in denial of not being ready.
Hmm.
What's going on?
No, I'm just thinking. Hmm.
She had so many opportunities throughout the whole episode, like,
Yeah.
to just say, "Yeah, no." It would have been okay.
Yes, but I guess I'm not sure that her saying, "I'm just not ready," like, to me, Elena already said, like, "Oh, well, yeah, it's because you have issues with sex." Like, it was already, like, kind of putting it's like, well, she's just not ready. Like, I don't know. I'm not
Well, then why couldn't we see her talk to Julie about it since Julie's one of the gang now
Ugh.
again? Yeah, no, that's what I mean, like, I don't know. It would have been nice to see her have a some sort of conversation with a girlfriend about it and just, like, talk through the pressures or the confusion
I
or
agree with that,
whatever.
yeah.
So I think that was a really big missed opportunity.
Yeah. I didn't love what the writers had Elena do.
Yeah, she was a little rough around the edges, but that's Elena. She's, like, a little bit more straightforward, a little edgier than, warm and fuzzy about things.
So
And I'll complain then
oh,
about the loft. So she's like, "No, Lucky, no," when he goes and grabs the shirt, and she just stands there at the doorway and just kinda, like, clutches her pearls about it and doesn't, like, make any movement to go towards him to go, like, pick him up and grab him and be like, "Okay, I'm leaving with this dog." And so she just watches him terrorize this loft in 2 seconds, and so she just stands there like a dope. Like, do something. That's like watching, like, a little kid, like, run amok, like, breaking everything, and the mom's just like, "Oh, no, don't." Like, come on, like,
She
intervene.
should have been like, "I'll go buy him a little pen that he will have to stay in so he can't knock over smooth A's anymore." Like,
Yeah, just didn't think anything through. It's just
well,
like,
yeah. Sean's over it now.
mm,
You ruined my smoothies. He's out.
good.
Then back at Dean and DeLuca, Javier is telling Ben that she's so mad at him. He's just distraught. But Ben's like, Felicity, like, it's gonna be fine. Felicity doesn't hold grudges. But Javier's like, not Felicity, mommy. Mommy's so pissed. So as they're talking and Ben's trying to console Javier, of course, Maggie stops by and wants to talk to Ben. Javier sees who it is and gives him a little, like, Benjamin eye roll and walks away like, oh, Benjamin, bad boy. So Maggie wanted to see Ben and says that, what if I told you I was still interested? Ben's like, well, what do you mean? I don't understand. Maggie says, well, if you're not interested, that's fine. You can tell me to go away. But Ben does not tell her to go away, and then Javier calls for him, so he walks away and Maggie smirks.
mm-mm. This is all part of her plan. She's gonna leave him hanging, thinking that she's gone, but nope, she's back.
I'm back, baby.
Did you miss me?
And again, like, it's just the complete opposite of, like, this was a one-night thing, about, like, she is just so hot and cold, I can't stand it. She's so confusing.
Mhm.
Like, she just left him when he found out that she was married. Like, she just, like, left the room. Ugh, if I were Ben. I don't know why he likes her, but anyway. So then back at the loft, Julie is walking around in her bra, and I'm just like, "What the fuck is happening?" I'm like, "I'm
Yeah,
sorry, is he your girlfriend? Like, that you're just walking around
yeah.
your apartment in a bra?"
My note was, "Is she out of her goddamn mind?" That's what
Like,
my little
he's not her gay
note I
best
made.
friend. Like, what are we doing
Yeah,
here?
Oh my
yeah.
god. I briefly lived with 2 guys once in a house, and let me tell you, I never walked around in my bra,
Right.
No.
ever.
It doesn't matter if you're just friends. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I wouldn't.
No.
Absolutely not. And I get that it's, like, the equivalent of, like, a bikini top or something, like, it's not, like, lewd exactly, but it's still stupid. Like, why would you do that? Like, that's not
I
necessary.
don't
Like,
even
put
walk
a robe
around in
on.
a bra like when I had girl roommates. Like, I'm not walking around in
No.
just a bra.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-uh.
So yeah, she's looking for the pink shirt that Lucky ripped up. And Sean is there and sees her in her bra and he's sighing and, pining over her. Asks her, if she's got something fancy going on tonight. She's got a date with a guy named Seven, which is outrageous. They laugh over that, and Sean says, "Well, have fun." Julie says, "I'm gonna have sex, Jack," and giggles and says that it's from some movie. Her and her friend used to do this. Someone says, like, "Have fun," and then they would say, "I'm gonna have sex, Jack." but yeah, neither of them can think of what movie it's from. So they're trying to think like, oh, what? Oh, I almost have it's on the tip of my tongue, but they can't think of it. So they've got a little inside joke now, I guess. She's walking around in her bra.
Just awkward scene.
Yeah,
It was yeah, to what was the point of that? Just to talk about sex more in the
yeah,
episode? Like, just like
and to show that like Sean's in agony, having a crush on the woman he lives with, I guess,
Mhm.
who he invited to live there. I don't know.
we already knew that, though. Why do we need to see that bullshit?
Yeah.
That was weird.
So then Felicity tells Sally that David came to the rescue with Lucky. And I would hope so because last week, he invited her to come stay because of the mono and all that and y'all defended that and said he wasn't scheming. So I would hope this week he would offer to take the dog then too. And he made the
Yeah,
bad joke of finally I'm getting lucky and they had a cute little laugh about that. And so they ordered dinner from Boulé, which I think is a very fancy restaurant. I feel like it
must be.
was in season 1 of Dawson's Creek.
Mm.
What?
There's an episode I think there's an episode where like some fancy yachting guy like visits and asks Joey out on a date and like she has her first kiss with him, but like she pretends to be a preppy like boarding school girl.
Mhm.
And I think she was talking something about, like, Boulé like, she loves Boulé, and he's really confused, like, "Wait, but Boulé what?" And then later she asks Bodhi, like, "Oh, Boulé, like, you've been there, right?" Or something like that, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, that closed down a year ago or something." Like, I
Oh
thought
my
it was
gosh,
in
now
season
embarrassing.
it was
I
one of
remember
it was one of
exactly
my
what you're talking
favorite
about,
season
though.
yeah, it was one of my favorite season 1 episodes. So I think they mentioned Boulé in that, and it's, like, a very fancy restaurant, but anyway, just a little crossover.
I love that.
And yeah, so they got dinner from Boulé, and David says that, she gets to pick whichever movie they wanna watch, but we fast forward, and they're in bed together, and Lucky is on a chair just staring at them, making out and getting freaky. And he's whining a lot too, so Felicity starts to get awkward kissing David and tells him that it's freaking her out that Lucky is staring at them. She can't really get in the mood. She can't have sex because the dog is looking at them. So David gets up and moves him into a little closet. But Lucky continues to whine, and now he's kind of barking and scratching at the door. And so Felicity again puts the kibosh on it and says, like, it really sounds like Lucky needs to go for a walk. Like, you want to come with? David's like, sure, it'd be great to get some fresh air. So Felicity says that they didn't have sex because of the dog, which is okay with her. And then
Okay.
she says they all slept peacefully that night.
That's such a funny
And
scene.
literally, Lucky is shown between the 2 of them in bed. So again, it is symbolism. Like he's physically in between them in bed. So yeah, these are her sexual hangups
Mhm.
getting in between them.
Again, so he even said, "Oh," so he's, like, opening the condom, right? And he's like, "Oh, is it too soon?" Like, like, "Oh, we didn't talk about this. Is it too soon?" She doesn't say, "Yeah, this is going too fast." She's like, "No, blah, blah, blah." It's like she had the opening then too, and it wasn't in a shaming way. Like Elena, if we're gonna say she was shaming, fine, you can have that. I won't argue too much. He didn't shame her. He just asked a question like, "Oh, we didn't talk about this. Sorry. Like, are we moving too fast? Is it too soon?" She totally had the opening right then to have an adult conversation with her boyfriend person and be like, "Yeah, this is going too fast for me." But she didn't. So she lied to Elena, she lied to David, and she lied to Sally. Like, just say you're not fucking
I
ready.
don't think she lied to Elena.
She didn't tell the truth. She acted like everything was cool and it wasn't she did not have any issues. Just say you've got issues, you've got issues. Like, deal with
Well,
it.
that's the thing. I don't see this as an issue. Like, she just
Well,
isn't
a
ready.
not
Like, to
readiness.
me, Elena is making it an issue that she
Sure.
doesn't wanna have sex, but it shouldn't I don't know, it shouldn't be an issue. That's my problem with the episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm using that interchangeably with not ready, but you're right. It's not an issue to be not ready. The issue is that she's not talking about it.
Yes.
That's the problem. Like just her not talking about it and just owning like, "Hey, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. It's not that big of a deal. Just have a conversation with this guy who's, he's an older man. Like he'll understand. Like he's not like some like weird high schooler that's like, "Oh, like I got to get laid." Like he's fine. Like he can handle it. And he could. Like he was like, "Yeah, slow down, whatever."
Yeah, and I agree that is the perfect time to be like, "I'm
Mhm.
not ready." I do just think
Instead
that,
of
like,
making his weird
Elena had
excuses.
maybe already put it in her mind that, like, she's weird because she doesn't wanna do this yet, and therefore maybe felt some more pressure, felt like weird about herself. But I do think it's sad because in season 1, the Gimme an O episode, like, she also felt a lot of pressure to do it when she wasn't ready, and so that's the only reason why I'm noticing parallels where she's, like, feels like she needs to do this and can't really explain why she doesn't want to or lets other things get in the way, and I feel just more sad that it's like she feels this pressure
That's true.
if she's not ready.
I did think that, like, the dog and then, like, the tree starting on fire and, like, those little things that got in the way are similar from the first season. You're right.
Mhm. It's just also I'm curious about why this character who's known for talking everything to death doesn't have a
Mhm.
conversation with her boyfriend.
No, no,
And,
no,
like,
and yeah, I agree 100%, like, that was the moment to be like, "You know
Mhm.
what? We haven't talked about it, but I don't think I'm ready yet," and that would have been the end of it, yes, but then there's no more
yeah,
Then no
episode,
more
so
episode.
yeah. And yeah, David did I don't think he shamed her at all. To me, it
yeah,
was all the conversations with Elena,
Yeah.
honestly, and that's why, yeah, she annoyed me this episode, which doesn't happen often, but
yeah. But again, I think, like, she wouldn't have brought it up over and over and over again if the very first time she brought it up, Felicity could have said, "It's not an issue, it's just I'm just not ready," and that's not an issue to not be ready, just like you said, like, "It's just not time for me yet," and that's okay, and we can all be okay with that, like or you can not be okay with it too, but I'm okay with not being ready, so cool it.
mm, yeah. So then Felicity is debriefing with Elena the next morning, who is pretty, flabbergasted that a dog got in the way of her scoring. So she says that millions of dog owners have no problem having sex, but Felicity doesn't want to talk about it. So Elena says, "Oh my gosh, like, you don't want to have sex with him, do you?" She says, "No, of course I want to." But I'm like, "Oh, the
Mhm.
first word, no, like,
Yeah.
you told on yourself." She was like, "No, of course I
Yeah,
want to." I'm
yeah.
like, "You just said no."
Yep, exactly,
Yeah.
yep.
But Elena says that it makes perfect sense using this dog as an excuse, like, given your issues with sex. So Felicity's like, "What are you talking about? What issues? I don't have issues." And Elena says, "Well, how come you didn't do it with Noel?" She says, "I wasn't ready yet." And she says, "You were with him for almost a year." And there I was like, not quite. Like, they didn't really get together until second semester after the winter. And then Hannah Kate. So, like, to me, it was actually only a couple of months.
Yep.
But regardless, then she asks, "Well, what about Ben?" And she says, "Well, with Ben, I just also wasn't ready." So now she's realizing, like, "Oh, wait, maybe I do have an issue." I don't know. She just, yeah, wasn't ready.
It's a strange contrast though, because she went and got a book, and doesn't even Elena said, like, "Oh, are you gonna get another book?" But she said something, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it's like
That
she
was at
went
the
to the
vet. Yeah, she was like, "Oh, are you excited?" And, I don't know what to do with him. She's like, "You could get another book." She's like, "I'm talking
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
dog."
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
funny. But it's just yeah, she went into the bookstore and we were all proud of her, like, "Oh, she's just gonna go in there and ask for what she wants, and she's gonna get her book, and she's not gonna be ashamed of it." And it's like, where did that person go? Just the confidence of, like, I don't know what I'm doing, even being confident and you're not knowing what you're doing would be cool. Yeah, I don't know.
So then at the loft, we see that Sean fell asleep on the couch, and it's morning. Julie wakes up, comes out in her robe, and wakes him up to tell him 48 Hours was the movie that it was from. That the Gonna Have Sex Jack is from a movie. I've never heard of 48 Hours, and I've never seen it. Have either of you?
What?
Uh oh.
no. I've
Yes,
never
of
heard of it.
course.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. I
What?
I don't wanna I gotta rest for a minute.
Is
Just
this
get
a '80s
going.
movie? Like, what a
it must
Yes.
be. She
okay.
said Eddie Murphy, right?
Yes!
Okay.
Um,
No, I don't know 1,000% that I've seen the whole thing in its entirety because
oh,
it's very old and it would have been a long time, but there's also a sequel, another 48 Hours, like,
mm.
how did this escape your attention that it even
I don't. Was
exists?
I born? I don't know.
Okay, fine. Alright. Carry on. You're
We'll
fine.
do a
I'll give you
poll.
that.
Listeners, how many of you
Okay,
have
that'll be the
seen
next
48
poll.
Hours?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it tonight
I
twice.
knew you would.
Both of them, back to back.
Oh, man. So then Sean asks Julie if her date is here, but she said, "No, no." He's like, "Oh, was it not good?" She said it was fine. And then Ben comes in all sweaty and says that he went for a run and now he wants to talk to Sean alone. So Ben sits down and tells Sean that Maggie's married. He's like, "Part of me thinks, like, well, she must be unhappy in her marriage." But then, other part of me's like, "Why should I even care?" Like, he could really use some advice, but Sean isn't listening. He's like daydreaming about Julie or something.
Terrible friend. Just terrible.
But also he's like, I'm really distracted. Like, we can talk about we'll talk about this, but, later when I'm not so distracted." And I'm like, "What about the
Yeah.
last conversation with Julie, got you in such a tizzy?" I didn't understand, what's he all hot and bothered about?
She was in her robe? I don't know.
It was weird.
Speaking of her being in her robe, when Ben walked in, she closed it a little tighter. Did you notice that?
No.
No.
Oh my god, I thought it was so obvious.
Hmm.
Yeah, she was sitting there, just sitting there talking with Sean like nothing. And maybe that's speaking to how much she does not give a
I was
shit
just
about
gonna
what
say maybe
he's
that's the
perceiving.
point of these
It's just so
scenes.
casual with
She
him.
sees nothing
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
like
sexual with
there's
him.
nothing going
You're a
on,
brother,
whatever.
but even then,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
weird still, but
No, yeah, blah. Yuck. Yeah. So, yeah, but she kinda closed it up, like, how her lips
Mhm.
cross over, like, she did that as soon as she saw Ben, and then she's like, "Bye."
well, there we go.
Mhm.
Mystery solved.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So now Felicity is smuggling Lucky into the dorm. She takes her to her room, and Megan's there, says that he's a pathetic looking dog. But Felicity has a huge favor to ask her, and Megan's like, "Oh, me too. You go first." Which I don't know if Megan's ever asked a favor before, but Felicity says that she has a date tonight and it absolutely cannot be interrupted by this dog. So, could Megan watch Lucky while she goes to the store and gets some food and then dog sit later that evening for this date? And Megan says, "Sure." Felicity's like, "Wait, sure? What? Why? What do you want?" Because that's just so unlike Megan. So, Megan holds up a MacBook, I suppose, the laptop, the colorful ones, and she's like, "Can I borrow your computer?" And she already has. So Felicity says yes. So then
That's cute.
Felicity leaves to go shop for Lucky. And now we see that Maggie is waiting for Ben outside the loft. So now she says she doesn't want to play games. She wants to be very, very clear and direct with him so that there's no questions about what she wants. She says, "I want to have an affair with you." And she understands that the risk is hers and she's not going to bore him with the details of her marriage. But here's the deal. She hands him a hotel room key. She says, such and such hotel and room number. If she doesn't see him tonight, she won't ask him out again, but she really does hope to see him. And so then she leaves. And I just love that she's positioned this as not playing games now. She
Mhm.
wants to be super clear. I'm like, "Oh, because that's what you've been this whole time." Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like it, it's like, "You're giving me your credit card?"
But again, it's like, let's make him look like he's
Yep.
15,
Yes,
you
Yep.
know?
yes,
Oh,
exactly.
Ugh.
Ben.
I was like, "Oh my
Ugh.
gosh." Yeah, what a
It's
little dweeb.
yeesh.
Dweeb. Ugh.
Felicity now returns to the dorm after getting dog food and a little gorilla toy for Lucky, but he's not in the room anymore. The door's wide open. She asks Megan where Lucky is, and she's like, "I don't know. I think he needed to go for a walk or something." She just let him out to go for a walk in the hallway. Felicity's pissed now. She's like, "What? Are you gonna let him pee in the hallway?" She's like, "Well, better than in our room." And yeah, I will though say, Dr. Joe, yeah, I mean, you are putting this responsibility on Megan of all people.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have trusted her to look after a dog. So I don't know. I feel like onus is kind of on Felicity here.
Mhm.
I think that really sucks though that Megan did that. But also again, this whole thing comes back to it's like a kid bringing home a dog that they found and like, please, can I keep him? Please, please, please. I promise I'll take care of him and feed him and water him and walk him. Like, no, you won't. You're asking everybody else to do that. It just feels very reminiscent of a child bringing home an animal that they are not equipped to take care of
Mhm.
because clearly she's not, because she literally is not. Everybody else is
Right?
doing it slash not doing it. And this is like an episode of 90210 when Brenda found a dog while she was going for a jog.
I was
It was
just
season
going
1,
to
episode
ask
20.
you if there was a 902 with a stray dog. Oh my.
I told you there was. I told you there was last time. There's a couple episodes involving a dog, but the first one that's like the least dramatic is season 1, episode 20 called Spring Training, and it aired originally April 25th, 1991.
And was it really about Brenda's hangups around sex, or was that the metaphor?
Nah.
I feel like okay, yeah, no. It was just
It
it
was
was
just a
genuinely about a
dumb high
dog.
schooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but they found its owner at the end. Spoiler alert, they
Mm.
find the owner.
The dog
So
was just a
everything
dog.
ends up okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Um,
Well, Felicity goes to look for Lucky around the dorm and finds him in another room with a bunch of idiots feeding him beer. So she rescues him from those dummies. Then Ben is at the loft. He's looking at the room key, flipping it through his fingers. trying to figure out what to do. But of course, he decides to go meet Maggie at the hotel. So now he's getting lucky with Maggie again. So they're, rolling around, making out in the hotel room and takes off her shirt and sees her butterfly tattoo. She said, her lower back, make of that
Of
what
course
you
it
will.
was.
I'm like, make of that what you will. Tells me a lot, but whatever. We're kidding. No
Yeah,
offense
tropes.
meant to anyone
Yeah,
that might have a
yeah.
lower back tattoo that is listening.
I'm gonna get one tomorrow, in fact. It's gonna say Dr. Joe and all.
I like
I want it in
I
writing.
like butterflies.
I do too.
So then she tells him it's not my only one.
Gross.
And again, I'm like, haven't they already seen each other naked? I'm like, why is he just like they've already slept together? Why is this a surprise now?
Maybe the lighting wasn't as good in the bakery.
Yeah.
Or the loft?
Whoa.
Oh. Oh.
I mean, they've slept together a number of times now. I'm just like, this is weird, but okay.
That's a good point,
That's true.
yeah. But yeah, it's just one of those things to say to be like, "Ooh."
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm a bad girl, whatever.
They should have said that the first time.
Exactly.
But yeah, it was, like, hotter this time. It was,
Yeah.
like, more intense,
Mm-hmm.
more urgent.
Barf.
Yes, it's part.
Then at David's, Felicity says that she couldn't find a place for Lucky, which she took as an omen that she wasn't supposed to have sex. I will just say, if you're looking for signs, you're gonna find them. So,
Yeah.
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 I mean, it's very clear she was not ready yet or did not want to do this yet. But Elena is adamant that Felicity scores tonight, so she says she's gonna take Lucky now. So we see Felicity at David's, they're getting undressed. But we see Lucky is tearing apart the couch at Elena's. And now Noel is freaking out because of his allergies because he comes home and sees Lucky there. And he asks Elena why they're watching Lucky. Elena's like, Felicity had to go to the library. And Noel says that his trachea is in the process of closing because of all of the dander. And then Lucky pees on Noel's model, which gets him very, very pissed. Now I will pause here again and say, the writing, yet again, for Elena is terrible because literally she's always like talking about Felicity scoring in front of, and like last week it was like, oh, hush, hush, we can't talk about Felicity and David kissing. And now we can't talk about David and Felicity, being on a date and being alone together. But like she wanted Felicity to talk openly. Like she wanted them to talk openly about the people they're seeing. So this just doesn't make sense to me.
It's
again.
inconsistent.
Yeah.
But she does say the funniest thing ever. Do it. Say it.
What?
Did you want that house to have a pool?
Oh,
Oh.
That was so fucking funny, no?
it was okay.
It's a little
I
cheesy.
thought that was brilliant. No, I love that kind of cheesy. Like,
Mhm.
that was, like, the height of writing. That was perfect.
That sounds
No, it was dumb. It was the kind of thing that you would have seen on, like, Family Matters or something.
Yes.
Like one of those one-liners that is very stupid. But I thought it was hilarious, and it was, like, the funniest part of this episode for me because I was annoyed the whole time I was watching it. So that's probably why I thought
I
it
don't know.
was
I
so
thought
funny.
Javier was the funniest part of this.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
episode,
You're totally right. You're right. There wasn't enough Javier. Never enough.
Never enough. So then we go back to David's, and he's getting out a condom when Felicity's beeper goes off. And I thought this was funny too. David's like, oh my God, like this condom has an alarm on it.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah.
who thinks something like that? She's like, oh no, it's my beeper, but it's, just for emergencies. So she looks at the beeper and it's Elena's. She calls Elena's. But David can kind of tell something is weird is happening here. And Noel answers the phone and says that Lucky bit him. David's like, oh, great. Of course, the dog bit him, right? So Noel tells Felicity to come take this dog away. She's like, okay, oh my gosh, I'll come right away. But then Noel realizes, you're not at the library, are you? And he realizes that she's at David's. And so he's like, you know what? Never mind. It's fine. It's just a flesh wound. It's just a scratch. But Felicity is like dead set and tells him, nope, like I'm coming. I just give me 10 minutes. Like I will be there. I'm coming. And so she tells David that like, oh, Lucky bit Noel and he really wants her to come and get the dog. So David, he can tell he knows what's up and he's bummed. She says she's sorry. He's like, it's okay, but it obviously does not look okay because she's clearly not telling, like right in front of him. She's like,
dishonest.
no, I'll come. Like she's convincing Noel
Well, he's actively saying, like, "Please stay,
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
don't
"No,
bother
it's
with it."
fine, like, David can hear your conversation anyway."
Yeah. And it's just more of it, just, like, be like, "I can't do this. Just say it."
But I will say that Noel in this moment showed a lot of growth, I thought, because he was like,
Yes.
"No, no, no, you stay." Like, he was not the weirdo, jealous person. I mean, I'm sure he will do that again at some point in the show,
Mhm.
but I'd just like to say that I think that he has
Okay.
grown a little bit in
I
this episode.
appreciated
Like,
that. It
he's not.
yes.
Yeah.
He was being a good friend. Like, he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, okay." Yeah.
Like, yeah, as soon as you realize
Yeah.
because he'd been lied to before with this stupid
Mm.
excuse, like, yeah. I don't think he would have called to begin with if everybody had just been like, "Yeah, she's trying to get laid," like, if Elena would have just said that instead of this library
Yeah.
bullshit, I don't think he would have called at all. He would have just been like, "Elena, you and I are gonna have a talk. Like, this isn't gonna happen again. Like, this is my apartment too."
Mhm.
Or, "Okay,
Uh,
yeah, you can watch the dog, but I'm going to Ruby's," or, "I'm going somewhere else," where
Yeah.
like but yeah, if Elena had just said, like, "She's with David, they're on a date, like, they need to be alone," I
they need some
think,
space,
yeah,
yeah,
Noel wouldn't
whatever.
have called, but I do
Yeah.
like that he was like, "You know what? Never mind, it's fine.
Yeah.
You do your thing." So
Yeah,
I
it wasn't
appreciate that.
intentional sabotage, so
Right,
I that's great.
yeah. He didn't do something shitty.
He did not. He did not. Yet, not in that scene. I'll tell you this shit
Oh,
later.
great. So then Felicity is at Elena's again the next day. I feel like she kinda lives at their apartment almost.
Yeah.
She's literally there every day now, and Noel comes in and asks if Cujo is there, but Lucky is at David's now, which also, like, if Lucky has now bit someone, I definitely think you need to take him to a shelter, but, like, now you're gonna dump him on your sort of boyfriend who could now get bit. I don't know, I was just like, "Why is he at David's now?"
That's what I'm talking about, this whole, like, getting him off the street to begin with, like, this whole thing was so stupid. Even
Yeah.
if it had the symbolism of whatever, I think it's so stupid.
Yep.
Then, obviously, Elena and Felicity were chatting, and so she tells Felicity to ask Noel. Noel's like, "Ask me what?" Felicity says, "I'm not talking to him about this." But Elena says that Noel has firsthand experience with her sex issues. Felicity's still like, "I don't have sex issues. I'm not talking about him with this." But Elena says she's going to leave them alone to talk about it. But, she eventually does say, like, "Ugh, Elena's making a big deal about it." But Noel asks, "So is this about last night?" Like, "Oh, so you and David haven't?" Felicity says, "No, they haven't had sex." She's like, "Have you and Ruby?" And Noel says, "Yes." Felicity says, "So my advisee is healthier than I am. Great." And Noel says, "You're not unhealthy. You're romantic, which is what I love most about you."
Hmm.
Dr. Joe doesn't like that. Oh, man.
I like that he validated stuff and didn't shame her.
Yeah.
But what I love most
Yeah.
about you, get out of
That
here.
was a little
Get
much.
those words out of your mouth. It's too much.
Friends can
We've
love
gone
each other.
I don't talk to
Mm,
Melissa like that, do you?
no.
Are we having those conversations with each other? No.
He could have said, like, "That's what I appreciate about you."
That's gross. I also don't touch Melissa's face, like, and make eyelash wishes with her.
I mean, yeah, they have a history.
So that's not what friends do. That's what people with a history do. And
Mm.
that's what people with a history say.
Why not
So
both? It could be both.
not when they're both dating other people.
All right. So he also says you want sex to mean something, and it should. But Felicity says that she puts so much importance on it that it never ends up happening. And Noel says that he's glad it never happened between them. He says that he likes Ruby a lot, but afterward, he knew what it was like to be with her. He said, "Not that I like her any less, but the mystery is gone." He says, "But with you and me, dot, dot, dot,
Mm.
there's still mystery there." So then David calls and says Lucky is sick. He's not eating. So Felicity has to go. And look, because I like Felicity and Noel, like that, obviously, that whole thing got me excited. I can understand if you're not a Team Noel person, you're like, shut the hell up. You go be with Ruby. You go be with David. Enough. I like Noel. And so I was like, oh, cute.
If they both weren't dating people, I would totally be like, "Okay, I have a problem that they're messing up other people's shit too by being like this with each other. It's not fair to the other people because they're not getting the whole truth when there's all this stuff and they're
Are they
no, no, there's
exclusive
nothing, there's
yet?
nothing."
Are either of them exclusive? I don't know if they've had those conversations.
Neither Ruby nor David gave their Felicity and Noel permission to have all this sexual tension with each other. Like they were explicitly told, "There's nothing. It's over. It's over. We're just friends." that's not clearly not the truth.
They're not making moves on anything, though.
I have
They're
never, ever
expressing
told
care.
Melissa that there's a mystery between us because Melissa and I haven't had sex with each other. I've never had that conversation with her, and we've known each other for
'Cause
over
you don't
20
have that
years.
history
Wow.
together.
It's a couple decades worth of time we've spent
It's true.
together. I don't know. There's not a mystery, though. I don't have those thoughts in my head because she's my friend. Like,
Yeah, but
I'm not
you've always only been friends. I'm just saying they have a history, and he's trying to make her feel better in this moment and not make her feel like a
make
weirdo
her feel better that there's a mystery that they share that they don't
that
share
it's
with.
okay that she hasn't had sex with all
That
these other
part's fine.
people. Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that part. I don't like him being like, "Oh, like, the mystery is gone. Oh, we have that and
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah." Like, what are you saying? Why are you saying those
K
things? Like,
yeah,
what are you trying to
it kind of
do?
implies that he's, like, still
Yeah.
curious, like,
Mhm.
about what it would be
Yes.
like to be with her in that way, so
Yes, the curiosity. Yes, yes. Say
not
more, Melissa.
okay.
That's what. Yeah, that's not okay. If you're dating somebody else, and she is too.
And I
Whether
don't
you're
know
exclusive or not,
but
if
that's the
those
thing, if you're
people.
not exclusive, you can have other curiosities and interests beyond one person.
Not if you've told those other people that there's nothing there. That's the part that's wrong. Like, it's they went out of their way to be like, "Oh, no, 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 it's over, there's nothing, it's not like that." It's like, but it is like that. So, they lied to people. That's the part that's not okay. The lie is not okay. I'm fine with the truth that there's something going on. I'd be okay with that if it was just the truth and not lies that were being told to people around them that
Okay.
trust them.
Yep. I can understand that.
There you go.
Yes. Yes. I've been trying so hard to articulate things because I think, like, I'm just missing the target by just a teeny bit. I'm like, "No, it's not the thing, it's the thing around the thing that is the problem."
I
The
could see that.
context. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. I also just think, like, they aren't acting on it, so it is kind of still nothing, like, yeah, there's underlying things, but they're not, like, they're not pursuing each which is also just doesn't make sense, like, I don't understand why the writers don't have them just, like, figure it out. I
Just
don't
get
get
it
that,
over with, yeah.
but of course, I like to see it.
Well, that's fine. I
Yeah,
can, yeah, like, as a fan, whatever. It's just,
yeah.
like, there's a thing called emotional affair, and I think
Mhm.
like, how long is this gonna go on before it's, like, a full-blown, like, "This is a big,
Yes.
big, big problem." Like, that's icky
I would agree they need
when
to
you're
figure it out.
telling people. Yeah, like, if they told people, like, "Yeah, like, I'm still into him, and we might hook up every once in a while while I'm dating you. Is that okay?" Fine, have that
But
conversation then and let
they're
that be
not
okay.
hooking up, though, that's the thing.
But if they were, that's what they, like, if they left that opening, but, like, people are
Oh,
expecting some sort of commitment from them,
right. Okay,
not some wandering eye kinda, like, sexual tension, like, flirty, weird shit.
okay.
He's also not had sex with Elena. Why doesn't he have a mystery with her? Okay, fine, they don't have a history, but I'm just saying, like, don't say these things to people who are you're supposedly just friends with at this
Okay,
current day. Current day status is friends.
okay. Yeah, and I ultimately, to me, it's on the writers, like, they're just drawing it out at this point,
Mhm.
like, the will they, won't they, which does get annoying after a long time, so then at the hotel, Maggie and Ben are still in bed, but she's on the phone with what sounds like a business catering call, and Ben is being a pest, like, again, very childlike, like, "Here's the difference in our maturity levels." He's, like, kissing her and distracting her while she's on the phone trying to conduct her business.
Yeah. Noel was kind of, like, fooling around with Ruby when she was on the phone too, but it is more obvious. It did feel like a
Oh, the
kid, like,
fish food
bothering their
thing. Yeah,
mom
yeah,
when they're
yeah.
on the phone kinda
Yeah.
thing. Like, people do that, like, they do be annoying in the background while somebody's on the phone, like,
But to
especially
me, it
because they
was
didn't have the
because it
clothes
was like
on.
a business
It was
catering call.
supposed to be,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I get that it was highlighting it, but that just popped into my head. I was like, "Well, no, kinda did that too."
yeah.
But it was more of a
Like,
contrast
she was
because,
just
yeah,
on the phone
business.
with her roommate
She's doing her job.
and isn't having a secret affair and
Yeah,
therefore
there's
needs
that.
to have no one in
Yes.
the room with her.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that little tiny detail.
So, yeah, Ben's kinda distracting her, and then he steals her planner, he starts flipping through it, he, like, giggles and laughs at her driver's license photo, like, "Ha ha ha, nice photo," and then he sees a picture of her husband and gets pissy. Yeah, because now he's like, "Oh,
This is real.
I've
I think it was
I guess
pissy
I
or
for"
uncomfortable.
I mean, both. It was like, "Oh, yeah, like, kinda like, I forgot
Like,
about this," and
reality
he, like
slapped
Mhm.
him in the
yeah,
face.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like, I think shock, like, shit just got real.
Mhm.
So for anybody who didn't pause like I did, Maggie's birthday is May 5th, 1973, so she would be 26 at the time of the episode.
Are you joking?
No.
That young?
No, the actress Terry Polo's birthday is June 1st, 1969, so she was 30 at the time that the episode aired.
Oh, okay.
So
But the
30
character's
playing
26.
26. Yeah.
Wow. That's not as
Yeah.
old as I
No,
thought.
she
I
totally
didn't think so.
she comes across as at least 30
Yeah.
or older.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's I checked it out because I wanted to see. So I did pause that when he was on her license.
Oh. That's not as big of an age difference as I was thinking.
No.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't be caught dead with a
No.
man of that age when
I
I was
mean,
26, but
no.
it's not as heinous
Yeah.
Yeah.
as it could have been.
Like what, 7 years maybe? 6 or 7 years at this point? Yeah. Anyway, interesting. So then at the vet, because Lucky is sick, Felicity and Elena are talking about David again at the vet. So Elena asks her, like, you like him, right? Felicity says, yeah. She's like, then just be with him. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. And this is why I get annoyed, is because she's like, don't put so much pressure on yourself. And I'm like, but Elena, I feel like
You're
she was
you're
the
putting
one
pressure.
putting the pressure on her this whole time and
Yeah.
like putting it in her head. And so I think if it weren't for that, I maybe wouldn't have been as annoyed. But Felicity says, she's like, I can't help it now. Like, now that I know I'm like secretly avoiding sex. And Elena says, oh, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I'm the one who pointed it out. Felicity's like, yeah, but, only half your fault. So then the vet comes out with Lucky and says that he has distemper, which is a viral infection of the brain. I get very sad
voice.
here. This is like Marley and Me stuff. I don't want to watch the rest. Oh,
Okay, well, let me give a shout out to this website for any sensitive viewers, just for general viewing purposes. Anything you approach in the future, if you're worried about something, there's a website called doesthedogdie.com.
I've heard of that.
And you can look up trigger warnings, and including, does the dog die? Does the, is there, but it's also stuff like, is there, like abuse? Is there, does
Oh.
anybody drink alcohol? Is there any hard drug use? Does any, just all sorts of kinds of triggers. And so you can look that up for any show, any, this season episode, and pull it up, and they'll answer like a whole bunch of like yes, no options, and people just voluntarily answer it. But yeah.
That's
So you can
to know.
If there's an animal in a movie or a show and you're like, oh my God, is it gonna die? Is the dog gonna die? Like, there's literally a website called doesthedogdie.com.
Yeah.
Smart.
Trigger warning for the rest of the episode, y'all.
Yeah.
So the vet says, you have 2 options. He just, suffers in a lot of pain. It's very uncomfortable, distemper, or, you can put him down. Poor Lucky. So then Felicity goes to David's with Lucky. She's obviously very sad with this news, but David has a surprise. He got Lucky a kennel so that he can have his own little doggy condo. In this kennel, it's super big, so he can have all this room. And I actually did think this was very sweet. Like, David was really trying to make this
he
work
was
with
trying.
her. Yeah, like I don't dislike David. I like him a lot. But she says like, "Oh, that's great," but David can tell she's not really in a good mood. So then David confronts the issue, asks like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, first it's that the dog's watching us, then he's making too much noise, then he bites your ex's finger. He's like, if you don't want to be here, just say it, because this dog excuse is getting old. So he's like, I'm making an effort to make this work. And like, if you don't want to be here, you shouldn't be here. So I think she then just kind of shuts down. She's like, you know what? You're right. I shouldn't be here. And she takes Lucky and goes. So obviously he doesn't know what's going on with Lucky. So it's insensitive in the moment, but like she didn't tell him. So he didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because she wasn't honest this entire time. He's operating under the premise that like she is into him, but like she's sending mixed signals because she's not being honest. Like, and I don't think she owes him that. She doesn't have to do anything she doesn't want to, but except for tell the truth, like just have that conversation. And I would have been crying as soon as he opened the door. I don't know why she was like, I'll close my eyes and wait for the surprise. I would have been like, Lucky's dying.
Yeah.
And I would have just like,
I would have been like, did you
into a
save the
puddle.
receipt? Because you're not gonna need this, like.
Yeah, I would have like led with that. And I was just like, I would have said that. And she's just like, I'm just not in the best mood. I would have been like, I got some really bad news today.
Yes.
Lucky's dying. Like, I'm just not in the best mood. What were you gonna do with that for the rest of the night? Like, just not be in a good mood and just not mention that? Like, that's dumb. Her communication was for shit this episode
What?
at every turn.
Yes.
That's why I was annoyed, because she's supposed to be this big talk everything to death person. For somebody who talks about everything, she sure doesn't say a lot.
In this episode, yeah. And yeah, he was clearly trying to make it work and bend over backwards. And again,
Yeah.
it's not that she owes him anything, but like
No, but
he
it
was
was
in
the
it. He was in
imbalance of
it.
effort.
Yeah, he was in it.
Yeah, it was the imbalance. Yeah, of just like, just be honest.
So then Felicity sleeps at Noel and Elena's
Of course she
again.
did. And Elena's nowhere in sight as usual, so they can have this
And
like
Noel's
nice little
allergic.
conversation.
Like, why didn't
Yeah,
you already had him in the dorm, take him to the dorm again. Like, if you're there, you don't have to worry about Megan taking care of Lucky.
exactly. So
Yeah.
they can have this nice little intimate moment in the morning. Bullshit.
So Noel comes out in the morning and asks how Lucky's doing, but Felicity says he was in pain all night. And they have the whining sound effect
It's
the whole
so
time, and
bad.
she's just like
Yeah, I hate
petting
it.
him. Oh.
Yeah, it's the worst.
But she decided overnight that she's gonna, have him put down. Ugh. I'm like, I don't even have any pets, and I'm getting I'm getting
Let it out, girl.
Terrible.
Ugh.
I'm laughing at Heather. I'm
No, I was
sorry.
laughing at her little voice. It's cute. It's sweet.
sad.
That's sad.
Oh no,
Oh,
I was
it's awful.
sobbing earlier this weekend about a show that wasn't even a sad show.
At
So.
least I can laugh it out. Okay. But Noel, again, very sweetly says that he'll go with her. So
Again, why him and not Elena?
Because
He's
is-
allergic.
But he is being a good friend to her.
But why isn't Elena? I don't
I
like
don't
that they're
know. I don't know
inserting
where
him.
Elena is. She should be.
Exactly.
But
Where is
Noel is doing what he needs to do as a friend.
she? I do appreciate that, but it also just feels like it's not his place to do that. Like, that's a boyfriendy type of thing to do, to go support your girl.
She could have said, no, David's going to come or whatever. Like, no, she's like, that'd be great. She wants
That's
him.
what I mean. Like, she's going along with it. And the writers are creating this, like, every opportunity for Noel to, like, insert himself into this position that he shouldn't be into. Like, Elena's conveniently disappeared. Like, this is the kind of thing, like, her bestie should have gone with her. If David, if they're on the outs, like, Elena should be going, especially in light of the fact that he's allergic. And Elena should have invited her. You know, it's just like Elena's supposed to be the best friend, but it's
Yes.
always Noel. And I'm like, so sick of it. Just, where is she?
That's on the writers to me. Like, I can't be mad at Noel because Elena's
100% of this is on the writers. They
Okay.
did all of this.
Yeah.
They wrote the whole thing, and we didn't do this. The characters
I
didn't
still
write
think
themselves.
it's sweet that Noel goes with her because
Yeah.
he is still
It's a nice thing
being
to
a friend.
do.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to do, but I wish if he did, and then he said, let's grab Elena. Let's all three of us go. Why
She's
does
too
it have
busy
to
studying?
just
She's
be-
always studying.
But when it comes to death, and I think that would be appropriate for her to take a little break.
I mean,
I wouldn't
agree.
have minded if all three of them went.
I
just
agree.
don't
I think
Noel,
Elena should
like,
be doing this stuff too. I was
Yeah.
even chatting with my sister about the love bug after she listened to our pod, and she was like, "Why isn't Elena inviting Felicity to come stay with her? Why is Noel the one doing?" Yeah, I mean, the writers have forgotten Elena, except for her to like poke the bear and talk about sex
It's all about
all the time.
drama.
Yeah,
That's why I didn't ever feel like throughout the series that they truly were really, really, really good friends because of stuff
Mhm.
like this. Like, she's like on the periphery more than she is really aligned with Felicity, it seems.
So they go to the vet. Noel's with her in the room. Felicity's crying and tell Lucky he's a good boy, a good boy.
Ugh,
And then
that was the worst.
he must have had a tough life alone with nobody to love him. But David then knocks on the door and comes in. And again, I think, again, Noel's being very sweet and gracious here. And he offers to leave. He's like, oh, David's here
Yes.
now? Okay,
I'm
gonna
glad.
go.
So
Yeah.
happy that he did that. That
Mhm.
was appropriate because that was more a David thing to do than him. And it's like, fine, he was pinch hitting, whatever, but it should have been Elena, if not Noel.
Yeah, David's like,
Whatever.
oh, I chatted.
I'm glad he excused himself.
Yeah, he's
though.
like, I talked to Elena and she said you were here, like, found out about this.
So that's how
yeah.
it comes. I know she was at home, so she could have gone with them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I was like,
I don't
where
know why
was
she
she?
didn't. Yeah.
She wasn't even in the room with them. Like, so
Yeah.
yeah, the fact that he was able to talk to her on the phone, I was like, aha, she was at home. Because I don't think he's paging her.
No, they don't have
So
cell
she could have
phones.
totally gone with them.
Yeah. But David says that he wished that Felicity had told him about Lucky last night. She just kind of shrugs. So then at Dina DeLuca, we see Javier and Ben working together again, and Javier's crying too because of Lucky.
Mhm.
Ben's like, "Oh, don't cry." Javier says that he's so emotional. He's like, "I'm not a brute like you, like
Oh
with
my
no
gosh, I love it.
emotions." And like Ben's kind of giggling because Javier's over the top about it.
Yeah.
But Maggie's husband walks in and he wants to order a cake. So Ben's like, like Javier, there's a customer. Like, I'm gonna go in the back. You take care of the customer. But Javier's like, oh, I can't deal with customers. I'm all emotional. He's like, I'm crimson. He's so emotional. He's crimson. So he makes Ben help Maggie's husband. So Maggie's husband
Awkward.
is ordering a cake for their anniversary. He says he wants it decorated too with a butterfly on it because it's her favorite. So,
Mm-mm.
Of course.
yeah. I wonder, do you think Ben is now questioning, like, he doesn't seem like a bad guy, he's, like, ordering a cake for her, like, do
Mhm.
you think that was the point of
Oh, yeah.
this or just to, like yeah,
I
okay,
think it's to get them together and
yeah.
also show like, "Oh, I'm getting her a cake with a butterfly. She loves that." But also, like, that's really crappy that her husband's getting her a cake from essentially, like, Starbucks for their anniversary.
Oh,
Like, I'd be like,
that's what I
"What?"
was thinking too, but he's like, "Oh, well, she uses you all the time,
Yeah,
so she
but
must like it."
still,
But I thought that was
go
dumb
But,
to
like,
a
do
too,
they
yeah.
do custom
bakery.
cakes? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I thought that was kinda yeah, another little forced moment.
Well, I thought it was funny, Ben was like, "You want us to decorate it?" Like,
Yeah, he
"What?"
was like, "What?"
They're like, "Yeah,
Decorated?
like,
I'm
with
like
icing."
yeah, he was like so caught off guard. That was so funny. Yeah, because I was like, is he like pissed or just like losing his mind or something?
I think losing his mind,
I
yeah.
think so too, because I have a case to make that he went into fight or flight, and I'll explain.
Go for it.
Okay, I thought you were gonna push back, but okay, fine, I will. So initially, he tried to flight because he tried to go in the back and make Javier take care of it. And then I think, like, a little bit of defensiveness, irritation, like, "You want me to decorate it?" Like that, like, kinda biting, like, it was a little bit like something because the fight was getting activated, like, so there was that a little undertone of irritability, like, kinda flustered, and he took a deep breath before he turned to face the guy to take the order and, deal with them, so some of that stuff got stirred up, some fight or flight stuff got activated.
He even did his little, like, grunty sigh thing before he went into the hotel room with Maggie. His little,
Mm.
like
Yeah.
he always does
Yeah.
that. Yeah, the, like, "You wanna decorate?" Like, it was almost like, "You want me to do what?" Like,
Yeah, it
he
was
doesn't
so
he
funny,
doesn't
that delivery
for the
killed
mistress,
me.
like
I know. Oh my gosh, that
yeah.
that cracked me up so bad, like, cause like, he was so freaking out, "Hey, decorate it? Decorate it?" Oh gosh. But also, did you notice that okay, like, Javier stuck his finger in the jelly donut thing, or pastry, whatever thing it's called, and he didn't take it with him, he left it there, and I was like,
Oh.
"Why?" I thought it would've been so funny if he did take it, and then he walked off screen a little bit, and then came back and took a second one. That would've been so funny. They missed an opportunity there, cause like, why did you leave that disgusting pastry there after you put your finger in it? It would've been funny if he took 2.
It would've been funny if Maggie's husband bought the Danish and took it.
The Danish, that's what it's called,
And,
yeah,
like,
thank
Ben
you.
let
Took a
him take it,
took a bite out
even
of
though
it.
he's like
Yeah.
so now Felicity is at David's. It's kinda dark, it's quiet, beautiful lighting per usual. They even comment on how quiet it is because there's no more Lucky whining. So Felicity finally admits that she was using the dog as an excuse. She tells David,
No.
"What?" Dun, dun, dun. So she tells David she's only slept with one other person before, and it was only one time. She barely knew him. She says she's never done it with someone she has actually cared about. So it would kind of be her first time. Which again, I'm like, I mean, like first time you've done it with someone you've like known and cared about, sure. But so then David says before he met her, he didn't even want to get involved with anyone, but now he's spending time with someone he really cares about. He says he doesn't know how this will go, but they have a good thing and he doesn't want to screw it up. So if she's not ready, then they shouldn't do it. And she is obviously relieved. She says thank you and kisses him. So they keep making out. She says, like, this is better. We can just enjoy ourselves, like without all that pressure and just let things happen when they happen. So they're still kissing. And then finally she's like, what about now? And of course, yeah, now that they're Lucky's not in the way. So they finally have sex. And so that's again, like, that whole line there where she's like, "We can just enjoy ourselves, not all that pressure, just let things happen." Like, that's really the reason why I feel like since the beginning of the episode with Elena, like, putting it in her idea, like, "This is the night you're gonna score, this is a big deal, you have issues," like, that's why I feel like it almost created these things. I agree she probably still had insecurities or, like, knew she wasn't ready yet, but I think it, like, forced her to think about all this and maybe get in her own head that, like, there's all this pressure, now he's gonna expect that this happens tonight, and I don't know if I'm ready and blah, blah, blah. So, that's the only reason why I
And
was thinking all that.
yeah, if she didn't avoid the conversation,
Oh, sure.
that anxiety would have been alleviated at the top of the episode the first time he asked, "Is this going too fast?"
Yes.
So she got in her own like, Elena may have steered her to get into her own head about it, and she kept herself there by not having a mature conversation with a
Yes.
person that she may or may not have sex with soon, so she did that to herself. The whole episode, she had an opportunity to course correct, and she didn't. She just avoided. Ugh, I didn't like it, obviously. I don't like it because it doesn't feel like just like avoidance. I get really like personally triggered by stuff that feels like a secret or a lie.
Mm.
Is like my own personal trigger stuff. So when it feels like she's lying over and over and over again, that's why I'm like, this is messed up. Because it's so simple. Like, because he didn't give her a hard time about it when it came down to it. He was like, he kind of like chuckled about it, like, why would you think me? You know, like he kind of like laughed, like, oh, you poor fool. Like, you're so silly for even thinking like that I would have a problem with this. Like that laugh when she's like, thank you. You know, it's like, you don't have to thank him for that. Like, just be a fucking adult. Have a conversation.
Yes. She definitely should have talked to him about it way earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So then Felicity tells Sally that Lucky had a profound effect on her and her relationship with David. The next morning, Felicity's at Noel's again, eating breakfast at Noel's house. I'm like, not
And
at
Elena's
David's?
nowhere to be seen again.
Elena's
Yeah,
not there.
that's what I was
The
like,
next
why
day?
wasn't she having breakfast in bed with him?
I know. I'm like,
Like,
why
what
didn't
is
you have
this?
breakfast with David? But she's having
Yeah.
breakfast at Noel's.
Again, they're forcing it, and Elena is also not at breakfast with them, so it's like they're forcing this intimacy. It's like, oh,
So he hands her the paper and asks how it went last night. She says it was good. Noel asks if it's gone. She's like, gone? Well, like, what's gone? He says, the mystery. She says, Noel, come on. But Noel is smiling. So she's like, what? What is that smile? Noel says, nothing. It's just that you and I have something that you and David don't.
Again, I don't tell Melissa that. Like, Melissa, you and I have something that you and your husband don't. Like, her mystery's been preserved.
You gotta
I
stop
mean,
using me
that's
as your
true,
example.
though. Like, I think there is mystery there.
But I wouldn't say that to her. I wouldn't have that conversation.
Yeah, I know. Because,
That's
yeah,
weird.
they have a history and they clearly do have unresolved feelings, whether you
That's
like it
the
or not.
part.
I
I
know.
don't care about that part. I care that they're denying it. Just be like,
Oh, okay.
be open about it and do it. Act on it then and stop like lying to your partners. Like whether you're exclusive with them or not, don't lie.
That makes sense. So that's it. Now everyone's getting lucky.
What what was your angsty away message, Heather?
So I actually did not have one. There was too
Oh,
much dog
no.
talk. It
Too
was
much
all
dog
about
talk.
dogs. I didn't there wasn't
Mm,
there wasn't much quotable,
yeah.
unfortunately.
I didn't really have a how to spend moment. I guess when he came in from running, I guess that was, but
Aw.
there wasn't,
Sweaty.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't like any of the scenes with
that's
him and
okay.
Maggie, so those don't like do anything
No.
for me.
They make him quite immature
Yeah.
in this
Yeah.
early season. Yeah.
Yeah. But I had a 90210 thing, so.
You did.
And I hadn't for the last couple episodes, so I feel like things are starting to even out. We're all going to be back on track next time.
Like, even her closing tape to Sally was just like, Lucky had a profound effect on my relationship. Like, I'm not going to quote that in a way message. You know what I mean?
It's
So,
stupid.
yeah. I thought the episode was funny. I'm very sad that Lucky is no longer with us. And I even, like, I got sad too because I was like, this is 25 years old. Like, the dog in real life is probably dead too. Like, I got really sad.
You've gone too far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
You've gone too far. Heather, you need to get a dog.
I'm gonna
God
seek help.
damn it.
I know, I
Get a
do.
dog.
No,
Like-
don't do it.
No.
Like, I'm already dreading like the idea of mine going like
Mm.
all the time. I'm like, I can never ever get another dog again. Like, it's just different.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And with the cats for some reason. Like, that's also horrible. I was devastated after I lost my baby. But yeah, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
I probably will though. I'll probably get another chihuahua. That's for sure.
Don't do it, she says, and then I'm gonna get another one.
I'm not gonna do it. I'm just thinking about it.
So that's getting lucky.
Glad
And this
that's
has
over.
been Dr. Joe et al. Goodbye. Class dismissed.
Well, next time it's Thanksgiving, y'all.
Oh, yay.
I will have a lot more to say then,
Oh, of
too.
course
More,
you will.
so
I'm
much
sure.
more.
I have no doubt.
Can
No,
we make the Thanksgiving punch to drink while we do the Thanksgiving episode?
Dr. Sherman's we're gonna have to.
We could post a recipe
Okay.
for it.
I'll have
Oh.
to.
Oh, and people could post it on their Instagram, like pictures of their drinks, and they could tag us in it. It would be so cute.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna try and see if there's something. Otherwise, I'll just make up a recipe.
Yeah.
I'll see if there's something online or in the show.
I'll whip up something.
Or I'll make something up, something with a lot of booze, because
Yeah.
that's all I remember. All I remember
Yeah.
from the episode. So there's
I want
a lot of
mocktail
alcohol.
too,
We'll make a
though.
mocktail
version too.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Just a bunch of juice. Just a bunch of
And
sugar.
Sprite.
Yeah. No, this is why I got pissed, because I accidentally watched 3 episodes in a row. Because remember how I said I had like a black hole, like there was just nothing. So I was like, what happened? And then I watched a few episodes. I was like, oh my God. And that's why I got so mad, because I was like, I'm not gonna say anything right now.
Yeah.
I'll say it next time. But that's why I got so mad, because I was like, this is such crap shenanigans.
Apologies in advance.
Yeah.
Until we meet again. Alrighty, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We will talk to you all for Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review and help us spread the word. We appreciate you and would love to hear from Felicity superfans like us. So send us your feedback, ask us your burning questions, or just say hey at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com. We may even read your note in a future episode.